We are into the second half of the 2025 S1GP season, and in peak summer, we're heading for a new destination, Visonta in Hungary. Visonta is part of Heves County in the northeast of the nation. It is situated less than 100 kilometers from the capital city of Budapest and is a stone's throw from the larger town of Gyöngyös. This area is overseen by the Matra mountain ranges and boasts a heavy agricultural focus with particular significance to the nation's wine production. Gyöngyös even hosts a campus of the Hungarian University of Agriculture and Life Sciences. While the area is very industrious, the mountains are still gorgeous and green and make for a lovely destination to hike and explore. Visonta itself homes a little under 1,200 full-time residents, as well as a major lignite mine. However, for the riders of the Supermoto World Championship, the focus of their mining will be on gold rather than coal. We often talk to the riders at the top of the show. Today, we hear from the team bosses. This is our first year as an official team. We have many young riders, and our team leader is Steve Bonnell. Our factory bikes are prepared directly in the TM Racing division, but in the test days and in the races, we create the final setup.
Cerchiamo di fare il setup definitivo.
With Steve Bonnell, we are working very well. He's scored 2 pole positions and has won his first race in S1GP.
A fargli vincere anche la sua prima manche mondiale.
In 2025, after 8 years, we are back in the Supermoto World Championship with Elia Sammartin, who is considered the greatest Italian rider in Supermoto. We are working in the right way because at the third Grand Prix we had our first podium. During the GP, we are always in the fight against the other riders up there in the first 5 positions.
This year we are here at the S1GP World Championship. We have Mark Schmidt, so we are doing good. We have a big duty of having a 4-time world champion in our team. The team is keeping high and is doing really good this year. Okay, we are in the middle of the championship. We are here in Hungary, but so far so good, looks good. And we're having a lot of fun.
A very compelling circuit in prospect here. Black Star Speedway, a little over 1.7 kilometers in length, lots of flowing corners and a pair of skyward sections for the riders to tackle. It's a new challenge for just about everyone on the grid this weekend, so why not have a new face taking us around the key locations? For the first time, Mitja Krasnicki is our company for today's track walk.
Hello everybody, welcome to the GP of Hungary, to the Black Star Speedway, to the 4th round of the World Championship, and let me show you the beautiful track. We start here at the upper part of the track on the asphalt, and after we go into the off-road, and the off-road goes further down on the track, and after the off-road we come back up onto the asphalt. So we are here in the entry of the off-road. We come in with a lot of speed from the asphalt, and then we follow the dry line, and at the end here you have 2 corners where you can try to overtake someone or be faster and take the speed to the bottom part of the track and try to do an overtake. To one of the biggest jump on the circuit. With a lot of speed you need to push on the jump a lot, and then we get to the exit. With a long berm you can choose between outside and inside to try to overtake, and then we get back to the asphalt. We are here on a new part of the circuit in the sky section. We come down here with a lot of speed into a left corner, and then you can choose between 2 lines, the outside and the inside. After that, it's followed by a small table another right corner, 2 small waves or a double, and then you will exit the sky section. And we stop with the talking now and let me show you the GoPro lab.
So a very, very exciting venue here at Blackstar Speedway. They put in some serious renovations to get this place ready for the World Championship. Very short main straight into a quick left-hand flick, then the right-hander. Carry quite a lot of speed through here before heading on to that dirt section bright and early. This almost reminds me more of rally raid or enduro racing, more so than kind of motocross style that we typically see, at least early in this dirt section. Not many jumps or berms to deal with there early on, but it gets a bit more familiar as we continue. Here comes the tabletop. You pick up some serious speed off the berm before that flying moment. This is a very, very high speed course through the first sector and indeed through the sky section to come. Now coming through this sequence of rights into lefts into rights, it kind of reminds me of a shrunk and slightly flattened Interlagos middle sector with the way that it flows. Everyone get ready, hold your stomachs, because we're going for the sky section now, and watch the speed through this inside berm. So fast over the tabletop that Krasnicki was telling us about. Quite a short sky section that, fairly recently paved as well, so it could be a bit low grip, particularly in treacherous conditions if we get any. Nice complex final sector of the lap before heading out onto the main straight. This place is going to be fun. Welcome, Hungary, to Supermoto World Championship. As always, qualifying concluded with a three-way shootout in Metzler Superpole. Having bested Lucas Hurlbacher by 0.2 of a second, Milan Sitnianski was the bottom seed heading into Superpole. However, the Czech had been looking strong all weekend to this point, so a run good enough for pole was not out of the question. The lap looked good, the Honda rider looked competitive once again, but at the line, his time was a 1:18.539. His rivals had gone faster in the Q2 session prior to Superpole. The question was, could they do it again? Next up to the plate was Steve Bonnell, still riding high in the midst of his first victory and what feels like his strongest S1GP campaign so far. To be in Superpole means a guaranteed front row, but could Bonnell put in a time good enough to take the first major accolade of the weekend, pole position? He crossed the line and the time was a 1:17.618, clear of Sitnianski. But what would our championship leader have to offer in response? Mark Reiner Schmidt's confidence feels like it is at peak in recent times. The move to Team Undici has seemingly only bolstered his performances in the 2025 season, but would he be on pole here in Hungary? Certainly, he looked committed as he made his way around Blackstar Speedway, and he had already lapped quick enough to beat Bonnell in the previous Q2 session. But in Metzler Superpole, it wasn't quite to be. A 1:17.731 was the time for Schmidt, and that gave pole position and the Metzler Superpole award to the Frenchman, to Steve Bonnell, who'd line up at the front for race 1. So 3 points early doors for Steve Bonnell, an early lead in the Grand Prix standings. Steve Bonnell on pole position, then Schmidt and Sitnianski alongside him. Then it's Hurlbacher, Sammartin and Kivers on the second row. Pernat, Ullman and Bessier follow. The Hungarian Saranyi alongside Nedved and Prevaznik, the top dozen. We're underway, and it looks like a good start there from Mark Reiner Schmidt. Yes, it is. He leads into the first corner. Steve Bonnell looks like he's struggling a little bit for grip there. He's at least down to third position, so the pole sitter not getting the run that he would have wanted. You're right on board here with Krasnicki further back in the pack, and you can see space is at a premium there. Kevin Karlsson, the Swedish rider, almost into the side of our cameraman, Mitja Krasnicki there. But look at this at the front of the field. Mark Reiner Schmidt looking very comfortable indeed. He's already got himself a few bike lengths over Milan Sitnianski, chasing him in second position. Bonnell still there in third place with Lucas Hulbacher on his case. But an early lead for Mark Reiner Schmidt has very scarcely been squandered by the German this year. It's been a dominant season to this point, and a season where he's very scarcely put a foot wrong. You can see he's pushing there, a little bit of a slide on entry into the corner. I understand there that at the end of the first lap there may have been an issue for Steve Bonnell. Bonnell has come across the line well down the order. So Steve Bonnell really has not had a good first lap. I think he hit the deck towards the end of that first lap, but he is back on the bike. Meanwhile, Sitnianski pursuing Mark Reiner Schmidt. The top two have absolutely broken clear of the rest of the field. Looks like we have Hulbacher there in third place now. There is Bonnell, 12th position. He has fallen through the field in a big way. Mitya Krasnicki for Smut Racing on the number 8, still giving chase there to Carlson on the 14 by the looks of it, over that tabletop. Great depth of field we've had this season throughout the Supermoto World Championship, and that's continued here into this new venue in Hungary. Lucas Hulbacher maybe a little bit disappointed to not have had the opportunity to fight in Superpole. Now closing in on Milan Sitnianski. Meanwhile, Schmidt might think he's got the track on private hire at the moment. He is clearing off. Can Hulbacher on the Schriff Racing KTM do anything about Milan Sitnianski? Sitnianski on unfamiliar ground. It always seems that he hits the ground running. Seems to be very good at picking up on where to be quick at a new place. Bonnell up into the top 10 now. Not the race he would have wanted. He does, of course, have those 3 points in the GP standings from Superpole, but that's not going to offset the loss of points being that low in the order. Hulbacher still trying to find a way through, but Sitnianski aboard the number 121 Honda, just about staying ahead for the time being. Krasnicki still looking for a way past Carlson. He set himself up nicely here coming out the last turn, and he's gotten through. Very nice work. Thought they were maybe still side by side into the first turn, but the momentum fell to Krasnicki. The momentum to Mark Reiner Schmidt. He's the first race winner of the weekend. Schmidt, Sitnianski, Hulbacher, Sammartin and Kuyvers. Your top 5 are pole sitter Bonnell, only 9th.
For me, it's something like a dream. I never thought that I could finish on second position today, but it started in the first practices and also in time practice. I had a good speed. So I know that I can fight for the podium. I had a good start. Finished second, started second, and after the first half I was missing a little bit the power, but I managed to keep the second position, so I'm super happy.
A real variety show feel this weekend in Hungary. Yes, of course, we've got the fan outreach, the signatures and posters being handed out, but also lots going on the circuit as well. Every time you look to the track, there seems to be something different on, if not a race. And some good food being laid on by the locals as well. Great to be here in Hungary. That's how those skid marks appeared. Fast race time, and Steve Bonnell again starting from pole position. This grid based on the qualifying results, so Bonnell with a second chance, and he gets the whole shot this time. Schmidt in second. Looks like Sitnianski's lost out there to Lucas Hulbacher as the rest of the field works their way through. You can see Bonnell leading the pack then. Look at the speed Mark Reiner Schmidt has here on this berm in particular. Full commitment, quite a rough berm. But if you get it right, if you stay in the throttle, which is far easier said than done, you can make a lot of time on that corner exit. Bonnell from Schmidt, then the top two TMs from two opposing team stables. TSV Racing Factories number 3 leading the way at the moment. From the Team Undici rider, Mark Reiner Schmidt, who got a very good run there through the Sky section. Seemingly gained a bike length out of nowhere, but he's lost it again now. Lap 1 of this 11-lap fast race then will be in the books, and again Schmidt deep on the brakes there. Squares up the apex for a better exit out of the corner, but not enough for a move into the first couple of turns. However, very close between Bonnell and Schmidt. I was going to say maybe he's got the inside line. He didn't quite, because Steve Bonnell put himself and the bike on the line to cut the nose off and stagger the momentum from Mark Reiner Schmidt. You have to be brave to beat the best, and Steve Bonnell certainly has bravery in abundance. His ascendancy is quite clear to see. I feel like he's very firmly grasped the mantle of the new head of French Supermoto, as it were, with Thomas Charret retiring. Steve Bonnell has picked up the mantle. Looked like Schmidt was all over the back of the number 3, but still no progress made. Through this dirt section again, look at the momentum. Schmidt, I thought, had a better run. He does have a marginally better run, but it's not enough. And he gets out of the saddle there on the way back onto the tarmac. Recently constructed, that dirt section, and indeed the tarmac Sky section, so a bit rough in places, and the apex beckons for Mark Reiner Schmidt. He was a bit wide of it. That was what one might call a block pass, but Mark Reiner Schmidt is through into the race lead. Can Bonnell mount a retaliation? I think he lost a moment or two there with the nature of that overtake from Schmidt. Had to kind of sit back up a little, and that cost him a tiny bit of time, but let's see if he can catch back up to the number 1. You're right on board with Krasnicki. Again, just outside the top 10, but making up positions. Quite a similar move that to what we saw from Schmidt moments ago. Krasnicki, though, got to the apex as well. Nice move from him. Schmidt breaking away. And Lucas Hülbacher now putting Steve Bonnell under scrutiny in the battle for second place. Hülbacher for Schroof Racing on that number 72 would absolutely love to close up the gap so that it feels more realistic that he could still challenge for the title. At the moment, it feels like Schmidt's to lose. His adversaries really need to start scoring points, outscoring Mark Reiner Schmidt, but it's not going to happen in the fast race. He wins it in style. Mark Reiner Schmidt, 25 points to him. Bonnell with second position. Hülbacher, Sitnianski and Sammartin, your top 5, and a second top 10 for Serrani, our local rider, doing well.
Yeah, what's a race? I start front for the first time I think of the season, but yeah, I did all shot. I tried to catch Mark, but he was faster than me, obviously. So I tried to use him for take a gap on Lucas, but I had some mistakes. So yeah, I just push for Lucas, and we'll see the next race.
Bonnell still pushing on, but it's Mark Reiner Schmidt with 52 points at the front of the Grand Prix of Hungary standings. Sitnianski, Hülbacher, Bonnell and Sammartin the top 5. Bonnell back into the top 5 now. Let's see if he can get a podium. Super final time. Schmidt, Bonnell and Hülbacher at the front of the field. Milan Sitnianski lining up in 4th alongside Sammartin and Kivers. On row 3 it is Pernin, Bessier and Prevaznik. Row 4 of the grid, Serrani carrying the local hopes. hopes, Ullman and Carlson alongside. We're underway in the super final. It looks like a good start from Lucas Hüllbacher. Hüllbacher into the lead. Holshot Hüllbacher finally living up to that name again. And Mark Reiner-Schmidt diving to second place there. Bonnell briefly had the edge, but Schmidt back up to second already. Not the optimum start from the German, but he's now right on the tail of the world's fastest baker. Schmidt wants to tie him in knots, much like Hüllbacher does a pretzel. Let's see if he can do it. Nice run there out of the sky section from Mark Reiner-Schmidt. Surely not already. He's got it done. That was seriously impressive from Mark Reiner-Schmidt, but I think he's still under quite a bit of scrutiny here from Hüllbacher. I'm half expecting to see an orange mudguard again soon, but no. For now, Mark Reiner-Schmidt is into the race lead. Hüllbacher will not take that lying down. But you can see the confidence there. I feel like Lucas Hüllbacher not quite carrying the same speed through that particular fast berm that we looked at about 10 seconds ago. Might have just been slightly offline though. And again, this is all quite recently constructed. This circuit looked very different 4 or 5 years ago. They've really put in a huge effort to turn it into a remarkable supermoto facility, and I really do feel they've succeeded. I'm not alone in that. The paddock feedback from the riders has been very positive. Mark Reiner-Schmidt controlling things at the front, building that advantage out at the moment. Neat and tidy riding from the number one, the 4-time world champion. Starting lap number 6. And oh, he's gone down there. The rear just escaping from underneath him there. Uncharacteristic from Mark Reiner-Schmidt. He's down to 3rd position. This, therefore, becomes the battle for the lead. Bonnell homing in on Hüllbacher, but here comes Mark Reiner-Schmidt. Immediately back on the saddle, immediately pushing. Bonnell has seen that move that was made by Schmidt against Hüllbacher earlier on. He shouldn't be susceptible to the same overtake. But here comes Schmidt carrying great momentum into the final braking zone. And again, parks the bike exactly where it needs to be, moves up into 2nd place, and once again, he's now pursuing Hüllbacher. Hüllbacher, who is certainly going to be very aware of Schmidt's presence very soon if he's not already. Can Hüllbacher hold on? He's left the inside beckoning there, and through goes Mark Reiner-Schmidt. That was ultimately made a little bit more easy than I think Mark was expecting there. The 202 leading a scrap here, Jonas Nedved. The Honda rider under some level of scrutiny in an intra-countryman fight. But Mark Reiner-Schmidt all alone at the front of the field. He has dominated. He is aura farming. I don't think there's much more aura to find. Mark Reiner-Schmidt dominates the weekend, sweeps all 3 races, even hitting the deck and winning in the super final. Hüllbacher, Bonnell, Sitnianski and Sammartin, your top 5 in that super final. And this is what it does to the point standings for this Grand Prix. Schmidt by 19 points over Hüllbacher. Sitnianski, Bonnell, and a rather anonymous weekend for Elias Sammartin, but 5th serves him well in the long game. Sitnianski with a very strong weekend. I'm sure he and the team will be delighted with the consistent pace of that bike this weekend. Truth Racing and KTM with Lucas Hüllbacher. 2nd place for them, still fighting it out for 2nd in the championship. But it is celebration mode for Mark Reiner-Schmidt. He has built yet more of a championship lead with yet another Grand Prix win. Can he be bested this year? It's looking ever less likely. Szabolcs Brezina presenting the trophy to Mark Reiner-Schmidt. And then FIM Chief Steward Herman Jakalic with the red plate for red 1, Mark Reiner Schmidt. Time to celebrate, everybody. We're not far from Budapest, but I'm sure there'll be a party. But for now, the champagne is waiting.
Yeah, I missed the super pole. The rider for me did in the outlap something strange. He kicked out the dirt to the clean line, but yeah, that's it. That's racing. I start from second place. I won both races. Super final was insane. I was second after the start, could overtake Steve. Made a big off gap. I had an issue with my shoe, so I crashed in the second corner over the front. Lose few seconds and 2 positions to Steve and Lucas. In the end, I could catch both of them, could overtake them again, give them a gap. So yeah, it was like a domination, this race. I feel so great at the moment on the bike. Nothing more to say. Big thanks to my sponsors, the guys behind me, especially also Roman, my physio. Yeah, I'm happy to be here in Hungary. Can't wait to be here next year. And now it's time for Budapest. See you next year.
Great minds think alike, Mark. What a day and what a championship standing situation. Mark Reiner Schmidt is 72 points clear of Hulbacher on the 72. Bonnell not far behind in third. San Martin and Julian Avila Cortez, your top 5 in the standings. Hope we'll see Cortez next time out when we head to Buska for the penultimate round of the S1GP season.